silence your mobile devices. Good deal. Commissioner Grindstaff, could you ask the invocation, please?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day that you have granted to each one of us. Thank you for your goodness in our lives, for the abundant blessings that all of us here tonight have been bestowed upon us. Thank you for the room of people we have tonight, for our county, for the love and compassion in Mitchell County. We thank you for the heroism that is shown in this room tonight among so many as well, and for us having the opportunity to recognize that. Pray for all of those who need a touch from you tonight in whatever areas of their life it may be. And most of all, thank you for Jesus Christ. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Commissioner Matt, just lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please make yourself aware of the ethics awareness and conflict of interest reminder. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda this evening?
I'd like to add to, under items for discussion, an MDSS APS position.
And then, Steve, we need to remove item 11M, please.
But I jumped that up.
No,
No, it should've been-
M is in.
M is in money needs to be deleted, N is in Nancy needs to be added. So it'll be fine.
So then M will actually become DSS.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's my jump the gun.
That's okay.
It's all right. Please, please, everyone make note of that on your agenda this evening. Do I have a move we adopt the agenda this evening?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, vote with the usual sign. Motion carries. Item number 8 is the approval of the minutes of January 3rd, 2022 meeting. I have a motion to approve. So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Next on the items list for our reports and presentation, we have got our employee of the month. So Miss Kathy Garland, if you could come up to the front. This is what you want to do, right? Thank you. Kathy, you've been nominated and selected as the January Employee of the Month winner for going beyond the call of duty to meet the needs of our senior clients and lead a great team at the Senior Center. Your positive influence, strong leadership, and caring passion are a few of the traits that makes you the leader that goes above and beyond for the county. You never hesitate to go out of your way to ensure the safety and well-being of our senior clients when something isn't normal with a routine, whether after hours, on the weekends, or during holidays. For example, when a Meals on Wheels volunteer knocks on the senior's door to deliver their lunch and receives no answer, and if the senior can't be contacted by phone, you go to their home and check on them. Many of our senior clients have no one to check on them. Another example that demonstrates your commitment to the well-being of our seniors is around the holidays when special holiday meals are available by outside organizations. You do what it takes to get the food meals delivered for that holiday. On many occasions, you've even recruited your daughter, who is more than happy to jump in there and volunteer. You're a positive influence to everyone around you, as you're always demonstrating the care and compassion you have for people, even when things aren't so bright. And your leadership is making sure the senior community is aware of programs offered, as well as making the community part of our programs appreciated. Congratulations for being selected this month's Mitchell County Employee of the Month winner for January. On behalf of Mitchell County Board of Commissioners and Mitchell County, we thank you for continuously being a positive influence not only for your employees, but everyone around you, and making Mitchell County senior citizens' life a little bit better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'd just like to say, I have had the privilege of being a county commissioner now in Mitchell County for 7 years. And I've had the opportunity to be amongst many in North Carolina on other boards and in various organizations. And above and beyond any of their compliments concerning our senior citizen center, I hear almost every day from somebody about how wonderful Mitchell County Senior Center is. And Kathy's name is always in that mix. And I'm just always so proud of our senior center, the work they do and the leadership that Kathy gives them. And Kathy, I want you to know how appreciated you are in Mitchell County. Thank you.
Next on the agenda tonight is resolution honoring Mr. Tom Glenn. And I'm going to ask Tyler and Tom to come up at the same time, if we don't mind. Mr. Tyler Dillinger and Mr. Tom Glenn.
Come on, Tom, don't be shy.
I want you to stand big and proud, fellas. I got to get you both in this picture. So we've got two resolutions here, one for Tom and one for Tyler. And I'm gonna read both and substitute both names in, so I won't subject everybody to me reading two of the almost the same things here. So you guys were instrumental in a situation that happened down on Deer Park Lake Road a while back. Probably saving the life of a child. So we as a board wanted to honor that and show our appreciation for what you do for the citizens of Mitchell County. Because probably a little boy is here with us today because of y'all's heroic efforts. So really appreciate that. So I'm gonna read this out loud here. This is Mitchell County Resolution honoring Mr. Tom Glenn and Mr. Tyler Dillinger. Whereas Tom Glenn, Tyler Dillinger, a probation officer with the Mitchell County Probation Department, received a radio notification on January 5th, 2022 of a 2-year-old child injured at home. And whereas he immediately responded to the home, finding the child had been accidentally shot in the leg by a gun. And whereas Tom found that probation officer Tyler Dillinger had arrived a few minutes before he did and providing aid to the child. And Tom assessed the situation, determined how he could best assist. And whereas he engaged the family's older child, taking him outside, talked with him and helped keep him calm during the very traumatic situation involving his brother and his mother. Therefore, be it resolved, Mitchell County Board of Commissioners, that we recognize and commend Tom Glenn for going above and beyond his normal duties with his first response, calm demeanor, and quiet thinking, and assisting and keeping the situation under control while Officer Dillinger was working on the 2-year-old child. So, Tom, give you the first one of these. So, appreciate it. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. And I'm gonna back up. I didn't realize I'm gonna read this because I did not realize it. I thought they were both similar. So I'm gonna back up right here. So whereas Tyler Dillinger, a probation officer with the Mitchell County Probation Department, received a radio notification on January 5th, 2-year-old child injured at home. He immediately responded to the home, finding the child had been accidentally shot in the leg by a gun. And Tyler found the mother and child in the bathroom trying to stop the bleeding, and he gave instructions to the mother to elevate the leg and continue to apply pressure while he retrieved a state-issued tourniquet from his vehicle. Tyler applied the tourniquet to the child's leg and helped the mother and child remain calm until EMS arrived. Therefore be it resolved that Mitchell County Board of Commissioners, that we recognize and commend Tyler Dillinger for going above and beyond his normal duties with first response, calm demeanor, and quick thinking, and providing excellent aid, saving the life of a 2-year-old child. And my understanding is that child is doing pretty well. So thank you for your service, sir, my friend, to helping our citizens here in Mitchell County. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Let's give them, you guys got it. Absolutely. Yeah, come on over here. Get him up, get him over here up.
You look better, you look better than me. You gotta take that mask down now to get a picture. Your wife won't recognize you.
When did you get one?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tom.
Appreciate you.
Thank you,
Thank
fellas.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
A lot of heroes in Mitchell County. We got,
We do.
we got 4 of them here tonight. So, next one, if Mr. Trevor Self could come up. This is a Mitchell County resolution honoring Trevor Self. Whereas Trevor Self, a citizen of Mitchell County, North Carolina, was traveling North Carolina Highway 226 in the early hours of Monday, January 31st, 2022. And whereas he came upon the head-on crash between a pickup truck and a Marion, North Carolina police vehicle. The police vehicle was on fire and he saw the vehicle was occupied by a driver, but the occupant was not able to exit the vehicle. Trevor Self then called 911 and immediately reported the accident. And without regard of his own safety, Trevor proceeded to attempt to gain entry to the vehicle to assist the driver, using any and all means at hand to do so. He was able to gain entry to the vehicle and pull the Marion police officer, Brianna Tony, out of the vehicle. And he remained calm and acted in a selfless and heroic manner to save the life of Officer Tony, who had sustained serious and life-threatening injuries. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners that we recognize and commend Trevor Self for his selfless heroism and courage displayed on the day that saving life of Officer Tony. This is just a small token of our appreciation for Mr. Self's courage and dedication to his fellow citizens.
Mr. Ch-
Well, I'll say I've known this family my whole life. I mean, Robbie and I played ball together. Rusty and I Misty go on a lot of vacations together. So, you know, it didn't surprise me at all, Trevor, when I heard whose name, you know, it's a top of the line family, and we appreciate what you've done here for this lady. And, you know, I asked myself the first thing I asked, I don't know what I'd have done in that situation, man. I mean, you know, that's it's an awesome thing. So, you know, we recognize that and we just appreciate, that's what we're trying to do, is just make sure people in Mitchell County realize some of the great people we got living right in here. So.
And before y'all leave, I want to commend you parents. You guys have raised great children. Very unselfish, no recognition. I don't know who had to drag him in here tonight to get him here. But so, you know, he didn't want any recognition for this. And here again, I don't know what I would have done or what any of us would have done if we'd have walked up on that situation or driven up on that situation. And I know you didn't, you just reacted. You want no recognition. But I have heard that the young lady was on the phone with her husband and said, I'm gonna burn up in this vehicle, take care of my girls. You put your life second to save hers without you doing what you have done. This lady would not be going home to her 2 daughters. So, hey, we got great people in Mitchell County, people that give, people that care. And thank you for being one of them. And then again, Rob and Livy, you've raised some great kids. Thank you.
Trevor, you are a wonderful example of selflessness and sacrifice and what people should be to one another. Thank you. God bless you, my friend.
Next, if I could get Miss Sheila Duncan to come up. Sheila loves coming up here in front of all these people.
I think the last one has to speak though.
At least a
That's what I heard.
five
The
minutes,
last one has to
5 minute
speak.
speech. This is a Mitchell County resolution honoring Sheila Duncan. Whereas Sheila Duncan, a 911 operator at the Mitchell County Emergency Center, was at her duty station in the early hours of Monday, January 31st, 2022. She received a 911 call from Trevor Self regarding a head-on crash between a pickup truck and a Marion police vehicle on Highway 226. The caller reported the police vehicle was on fire and he saw that the vehicle was occupied by a driver, but the occupant was not able to exit the vehicle. Sheila remained calm, encouraging and reassuring Mr. Self, asking persistent questions and immediately summoning assistance from appropriate emergency responder agencies. Sheila remained on the line, and when Mr. Self indicated he had extricated the Marion police officer, Brianna Tony, from the vehicle, she praised his actions, telling him he had done a great job. Therefore, be it resolved by the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners that we recognize and commend Sheila Duncan for her excellent manner in which she performed her duties in handling the 911 call on that day and her timely and appropriate actions that contributed to saving the life of Officer Tony. Now, you probably said, well, that's just doing my job. Well, you know, doing your job is one thing, but when you've got somebody calling you on a line that you can tell is in a panic and you know, trying to help them, I know that's you did a great job. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you did. Hey, just 5 minutes, all we can allow you, Sheila, if you want to talk. Now, with all that good stuff, the next item on the agenda.
It gets real boring now, folks.
Is the tax collector's report. So Miss Jessie, if you want to come up with. And if you want to escape, you're more than welcome. No judgments up here. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
See you, brother. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Well, got time to think of that.
Yeah, now I'm gonna eat my chili.
See you, man.
Yeah.
Jessie she says, I don't want to follow all that up.
That'd be a hard time.
It would, especially when we're talking about taxes.
Yeah.
We've gone from patting people on the back.
Well, here it is.
It's about being made.
Harley, thank you for the chili.
Oh, you're welcome, please. do.
Oh, don't you brag about
was
that
afraid.
chili. Everybody else in there starving to
I was
death and we're.
afraid I didn't make enough.
I'm gonna go get my bowl in a minute, but we recess now.
I told Bert, I said, you're killing
Yeah,
me,
you're
son.
good.
I'm over here smelling like a pig. Jesse,
Hello.
welcome. How are you? Good.
The report for January collected was $1,077,643.77. Good month. Second notices will be sent out this month of the delinquent taxes. You should have a list around your iPads.
Yes,
The
thank
20
you.
The 21 report, it's too large to print. Unpaid taxes. I think there's like 808,000.
Yes,
unpaid,
thank you for,
21 only.
So after that second notice goes out, is there a third notice? Just one, two? That's
We're
it?
working on garnishments and, of course, the tax returns, the debt set off. So we're going to combine all these resources.
I want to ask another question. Because it's been bothering. I guess it came from your office to Mavis to our iPad. Some of these folks go back 6, 7, 8 years that have not paid your tax. And it was hardly 1.2, $1.4 million. I mean, it was a
It's, I mean, it's over.
it's a good sum of money, and I understand, okay, I understand that some people get bogged up every now and have a hard time paying all the taxes, but I do know that your agency works with those folks. I'm to the point that I want to see y'all be aggressive on not just 21, but all the ones prior. And I recognize some of the names on this list. And they got a whole lot more money than I. And I pay the tax. And so do a lot of elderly people that make a 10 or a 15 or a $25 a month payment. Plus also have to worry about their heat bill, their light bill, and their food source, and hope to God they're not on that. So I think if we're gonna make this fair across the board, then I wanna go after everybody. And if you can't pay them, if you're struggling, if you're having a hard time, I understand. But at least come in and sit down with you folks and say, can we set up a pay? So I'm only one commissioner. I'm only one voice. But again, I say what's equal for one is equal for the other. So it's time that we start collecting this money because, you know, I think we could use it.
Oh, yes.
But thank you.
When anyone comes in and they've got back taxes, I'm gonna suggest to them, let me apply this to your 16s or 14s or whatever, before we pay the 21. Because I tell them it's accruing interest. You want that paid first. And they do. That's coming in.
Well, and Ms. Preston, will y'all probably have a standard procedure that you go through, correct?
Send
That
them letters.
when people are so many months late or so many years late, you have certain procedures and protocols you abide by. Is that correct?
Yes. We send out form letters. And I'll print off the taxpayer receivables report and send all the years on it and send a little friendly letter.
Okay, let me ask
And
you this. I'm sorry.
And do y'all work closely with the county attorney as far as getting him involved in helping with these collection procedures and so forth? And when you can start foreclosures and,
Blair handles that with county attorney.
okay.
So,
You know, I want to ask you,
Dana.
and I didn't mean to interrupt you
No.
or interrupt you, but like the people that are 7, 8, 9 years behind, 6 years, whatever it may be. It's obvious obvious in some situations, they're not gonna pay taxes, they're gonna beat the system. Can we not garnish their wages? Can we not freeze bank accounts? Can we not go after tax? And the last thing, can we not foreclose?
There's a
And if
process.
we can do that, why aren't we doing that? Would be my
Jeff,
question.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but you got Blair coming over here as item 3 in discussions to
Okay.
discuss this very issue.
Okay. I'm sorry.
He's not here tonight.
He's not here tonight.
That be.
Maybe you should go ahead.
We got C on items for discussion.
That would be Blair.
So,
But he's not gonna do it.
So no, he's not coming. He's left for the day.
You don't know he was on the agenda?
He had a sinus infection. I think. Under the weather.
Moving on.
Anybody else have any questions? You got
well,
off the
I
side.
mean, I guess would it be best just wait for Blair?
Didn't mean to put you
Oh,
on
no, no.
the spot. Didn't
I guess I just had some questions. I think it was my understanding that some of this is slowed down because courts were backlogged due to
Yes.
COVID,
Definitely.
and they're firing back up and rolling now.
Start to catch up.
I might be, I think the last one that I filed was filed in early 2020, just before all the, we finally got that case concluded in August of 2021. Took a year and a half, a little better.
It's a slow process. Isn't it?
It was with COVID because you couldn't get court dates and you wound up having to notice people and court would be canceled and you did it again, court was canceled again, you did it again, court was canceled again. And it took a year and 7 months to get one foreclosure done. Plus, there was a period of time there when the declaration of these emergency proclamation prohibited any type of collection or and any type of eviction if you got the property sold. And supposed to be able to give the buyer a writ of possession within 10 days after the sale is confirmed. And if the judge or governor says you can't do that, then you can't do that. And that was the reason for stopping them. I think most of those reasons are gone. And I'll just say frankly, interim manager, I don't see any reason for not restarting them.
How many do we typically do a year? Like, idea?
I did probably on average 6-7 a year.
I mean, that list was pretty extensive. Is it just
There's several
manpower?
years' work there.
Is it manpower is the reason? Why? I mean, that's 6 on a list of, all the,
80 pages, maybe. It may have been more than 80, I can't remember.
I guess if he's gonna roll the dice, not paying you.
The commissioners 2 or 3 years ago adopted a priority based on. There's some of them that are very difficult. Because some of them, years ago, out here, it's still where the world they are, but you've got to be able to notify.
Right.
Others are a lot sensitive. Yeah, it's time.
The wage garnishments right now, I've already sent out the employer list for them to give me the employees list back to me. And there's been a lot of job changes, I know, because of COVID. So hopefully we'll get a good list back for those garnishments. And then if it's a bank attachment, they have had to pay with a check at some point in time for me to contact that bank, the account number, routing number. A lot of people will pay cash or money order, and you can't do bank attachment. No.
You got them before.
What would you say?
Yeah, we just
So that
call,
you can
contact
go
the
back and
bank,
look.
we contact the bank, get a copy. And then, of course, tax return, which we'll start getting debt set off this week. We've got some early filers, so.
So we can
those three
garnish,
things.
not to interrupt, we can garnish tax returns as well.
That's where the North Carolina debt set off program.
Okay.
So if they're getting anything back from state, we can't touch federal,
Okay.
so we can't stay. We've got it. We put in the claims. That's starting to pick up a little bit now. You've received the 21 unpaid taxes. I'm requesting that someone issue an order for me to advertise these tax liens in the newspaper. I
So
have to
moved.
get motion.
All in favor, vote with usual sign.
It will be ready in March. And anyone that does come in and pay between now and before we advertise, I will remove them. That list, they won't be advertised.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I
They still have
understand.
to pay the fee.
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, we cannot waive the interest.
Okay.
Now that, the interest is a state, like you don't set
No.
that, am I correct?
Right, North Carolina general statutes.
I had somebody ask,
No,
I had
cannot
somebody
waive it.
ask on why the commissioners and the tax office set that so high, and I said, I don't think that's us, so.
No,
It is,
State
it
sets
is the
tax rate
state.
9% plus 2% for the first month.
and I explain that, and then I pull out general statute if they want to say proof. Where is this from?
Mhm.
But it's not just us.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, appreciate it. Next on the list tonight, we've got John Boyd from the Malin Community College Rapid Prototype Program.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I wanted to do a quick update, or just a quick, little update on the rapid prototype, and then Commissioner Masters asked me if I do a quick update on the Coliseum. So the Rapid Prototype Center we have, of course, is over in the Onspot building, and we are still, unless somebody's bought one very recently, the only community college doing the metal prototype. And so we, as part of our Malin Enterprise Corporation business, and we did, as you know, BRP went through some tough times with Evinrude Motor closing down. And so about 2 months ago, we spent almost a full month with the machines running 24/7 for them. We print out in metal the parts that they need, and then they send them off to Wisconsin, attach them to motors, and use that as a way of building another business. So we save them 2 or 3 months in the process, plus a pretty good chunk of money when we do that. Of course, we charge them for it. We're also doing now some getting ready, I think, to sign a contract with Buck Stove to do a bunch of door hardware for them through CNC. So this is, and so the rapid prototype is really operated by our students. And so they have, what we're doing is we're doing several scholarships now. 3 of them are at Onspot, and they're called work scholarships. Students get a full ride. They have to work 10 hours a week. And we're paying them $15 an hour while they're working. So it's a pretty good deal. And it's a good way of building the soft skills that places like Baxter and Altech and BRP and everybody needs those soft skills. So students are doing that. They're the ones that are putting together the price list and negotiating contracts and all that. So they're sitting down with, say, Buck Stove, and they come back with a price and told, no, that's too high. So then they go back and play with it some. But the bottom line is they have to finish the project with a profit. And so when they leave that program with their degree, they're able to I mean, that's a heck of a resume. I mean, where else do you do that in school? Be able to sit down and negotiate contracts. Of course, all the money stays and buys more material and all that. Because the 3D metal printer is a pretty expensive piece of equipment and pretty expensive to operate. But it's a lot cheaper than building molds and everything else that BRP would have to do otherwise. But we're really working really well. And it's going to be later on, I know we'll be talking about the possibility of the joint park. That's a huge thing for industry to see coming in, of having that capability to rapid prototype. And so whether you do it a joint park or not, it's still a great thing for business. We've done things for all types. We've done Hickory Springs, we did parts for them that they needed. They were converting machines. They didn't have a part that they could purchase. So we worked with their engineers to build it. We built it in plastic until it was right, and then we build it in metal. But that metal 3D printer, if you've not seen it, it could print a stainless steel revolver. If you can design it, it can print it. So it's a really neat piece of equipment. And we've done a lot of work to include some antique cars that needed parts that they couldn't get. We were able to build. So it's a great thing. It'll go really well with the rapid prototype, or with the resource center for entrepreneurs, which we're getting ready to start. We're just getting the contracts done. That is going to be in the Coliseum, and that is the contracts are done all by local contractors. The YMCA project in the Coliseum, we have selected our contractor. We put it out in a design build. Senator Heiss, when he put the money in the budget, sending it through the foundation. The state balked at that a little bit, but they've come back and said after deep discussion, they decided it'd have to come to the foundation because that's where the budget has it. So that changes, it makes it a lot easier for us. It's going to save us a ton of money too. State contracts are just very expensive. So we did a design build, we put it out, we interviewed, and we are hiring Van Noy Construction, and Clark Nixon will be the architects with them. And the YMCA was I put them on the interview committee with us so that they could see it as well. And they're meeting with Van Noy this week, later in the week. And so they will get, once they make their decision, but the idea was we kind of want to have the same contractor since it's so integrated. Once they make their decision, then we will sit down with their architects and Van Noy and Clark Nixon and the Y and us and start talking about the process. The great thing about a design build is you don't have to design the whole thing and bid it out and wait. We can get it ready to start doing demo, go to the next phase, and go to the next phase. The money that we've got from the Golden Leaf that the county supported, the $529,000 for the chill tower system is part of this contract as well. So we figure about 2 years in the YMCA should be active. And we're going to have to do a little bit of reinforcement on the big wall. Pools are going to be there's going to be 2 pools included on this project. They'll be at the second floor level suspended, but they'll be indoors along that wall. And so our part of the project is we'll demo what needs to be demoed. We'll reinforce the wall, we'll put in a new entranceway. We will build the two-story component of the kitchen, but we'll just shell that, and then they'll finish theirs on top. They'll have part of that space, and we'll finish ours with the kitchen project. Put in the stairwell, the elevator system. We'll do some waterproofing on the inside, and then get the plumbing and the sewer lines run. Nobody knows where anything is there because the plans were thrown away. And so we tried to find the sewer lines, and so we're just going to take them straight out of the building and then run them down and connect to where we know they are. And that line then will be, that Y will be able to connect the pools into that line too, as long as we have a good check valve, so when they drain pools, it doesn't come up inside the building. And so it's going to be it's a great project. And we've got money now to do the massage therapy program in there. We're working with an agency on a grant for the kitchen, and we're also looking at a culinary arts program. So EDA is who we're working with. So a lot going on, and with that. And so you know, it was about a $40 million project. When we're done with all this, Y does their portion and all that, it'd be, you know, they're in that 20, just 20+ million dollar. We're putting getting a lot into there. The big thing after this will be the event space. After we get the kitchen in and we get the massage therapy in. So pretty soon you'll be able to spend $20 and get an hour massage to students. And better yet, our hotel guests will be able to reserve massages and manicures and pedicures and all that when they come. We are in design on the kitchen and this landscaping, and we're working upstairs. It's going a little slow because the grant that we're waiting on was delayed because of the budget. There's some state funds that had to wait until the budget was done, so now they're just looking at it. But we are working on the bathrooms upstairs. And if you want to see what's going to look like outside of it, you can get on the Blue Ridge Boutique .com, and the landscape plan is pretty incredible. And it will include natural gas fire pits and all that. It's really going to be nice. And tiered down where it is, and it just has, you and I talked about that. You got to have it so when you pull in, it looks like it's someplace you want to be. In some ways, that's probably more important than the third floor. But we've got to get it done here because we've already got all 32 rooms rented in October. So
how full are you staying when you were, you're taking a break right now, but how many rooms were you renting out? Is it?
Well, each month it got better. October, we you know, it takes about 6 rooms to break even. October, we made money. And November was right there, about right there on the verge of doing that. And so, you know, there's things that we need to be able to do that we haven't been able to do yet. Some of that is the restaurant. So, but generally speaking, the reviews and stuff we're getting, we got a great review this week from a lady that didn't even stay there. The lady, one of our workers called, and the person put a wrong phone number in the system, and he'd forgotten something, and we mailed it back to him. And then she called to make sure he got it. Well, it was the wrong number because he put the wrong number in. And the lady was so impressed by the young lady that called that she wrote a good review. So we're, you know, it's come along. It's and so it will be it'll be a great project when it's done. We just got a lot going on. We just got $300,000 to finish the welcome center at the planetarium. They're installing the inner dome right now. That last week and this week. And then that same company is turnkey. They'll do the sound system, the projection system. We'll be open probably in April. And the consultant that's coming up from Georgia, he's donated a lot of time for us. He likes us. And so, but he said that, and he's built planetariums all over the country. He said this is one of the most amazing projects he's ever seen. And that this is going to be a project that is written about quite a bit. He's talking about it all over the country because of the way it's built, but more important, and as much as anything for what we're building it for. And we're spending $2 million on a project that would probably cost most places about $5 million. And a lot of that is local labor, us doing the management of it and all that. But it's a great project, and it's really come along. If you haven't been out there, you need to take a look. And the beehive is partially painted on the outside. He'll come back in the spring, finish painting that. Welcome center will be done as well. And again, that's everything out there has been local. Except for the sewer system we had to put in because it's filtered. And so, but it's everything's come along well.
I do have one more question. Do we currently have an EMS program?
Yes,
Okay.
we got very, very active EMS. And we're now, we have just submitted, or we're getting ready to submit, we just had to send it out to the other colleges for them to sign off. We're doing a paramedic to RN program. So if you got your paramedic, you'll be able to also get your RN. Yeah. So, but our paramedic program is really, really active in all three counties.
And when will the paramedic RN program start?
Probably the whole process takes about 2 years by the time you go through SACs and you go through the state process and everything else. And then you hire, you get everything set up. Won't be a lot of hiring involved because it's the nurses, they actually go into the nursing program, but they go in advanced.
So you have to get approved as a college to do this program before you actually get a first class started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to go through the state.
Gotcha.
And then we have to do paperwork with SACs, but that's a formality. They don't approve it, they just approve us. It goes on the list as one of the courses that we teach.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Boyd.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda tonight, we've got the Pisgah Forest Plan, Mrs. Jennifer Barnhart.
Great, good evening.
Evening.
This is my third one for the day, so gotta switch over from morning to afternoon to evening now. Yep, I'm Jen Barnhart. I'm the district ranger on the Appalachian Ranger District of the Pisgah National Forest. So that covers 6 counties. So Haywood, Madison, Buncombe, Yancey, Mitchell, and Avery. So it's spread out across, non-contiguous across those 6 counties. And I'm basically here to come and give you guys an update. I did meet most of you about a year ago. I came and talked about a backup land that became part of the Pisgah National Forest with you guys' blessing on that as well. So thank you. That did come to fruition, and I know a lot of folks are using it, and I know it's a lot of hunters, I think, have been accessing that piece of land up by Roan Mountain, that Roan Gateway track. So it's been a great asset to the forest. But in terms of tonight, it's focused on the Nantahala Pisgah Forest Plan update. And so this process has been going on for quite a while. I think it's into the 8th year. And at this point in time, the Forest Supervisor, Jay Malonis, has issued as of January 21st, a final environmental impact statement as well as a final plan. So really what's out there is a draft decision. And the plan won't be final and where we can actually implement it until probably sometime this summer. So from January 21st and 60 days forward, folks are able to review that forest plan and the environmental impact statement. They can put in comments, and that's considered an objection period. So during the objection period, those that would have commented previously during scoping or the draft of the plan would have standing, which means the regional forester will then look at those objections, and then eventually, usually they meet to figure out if there's a way to meet in the middle, or what the path forward is in terms of the final plan and how it'll be implemented. So for you guys, you've been involved throughout from the beginning. It's really important for us to have local communities as well as the county involved in providing input. Obviously, this is your backyard and your communities. You guys are very proud of those beautiful mountains here, and the National Forest is part of that. So just want to make sure you guys are aware of those things. There's a couple things I'm going to highlight. The biggest piece is that this is very much a collaborative process, and that is another reason why it's taken so long, is because there's a lot of people with a lot of different things and ideas around the national forest, and then trying to come to a place where we're in a good spot for common ground. So when James Malonis did put the draft did go out, since that time, he would have taken out all those responses. We reviewed all of them, tons and tons of responses from the draft forest plan. And now there has been a new alternative, which is alternative E. And that's basically a new version of what was proposed in the draft, taking consideration the input that was received in those comment period during the draft time period. So that's basically what you guys are seeing. Before I get to what does that mean for Mitchell County, I'll break down the plan specifically how it's sort of laid out. So as a reminder, the current plan that the forest plan operates, it's just like you guys, when you have a county plan, in order to have your operating, it's the same thing. You need to have a management plan in terms of what we're implementing on the ground in the national forest, and it's zoned in various areas. So basically in the new plan, how those management areas are defined are more simplified than we had in the past. The original plan was from 1987. It was amended significantly in 1994. So we were definitely due in terms of getting caught up on a lot of the different technology around forest management, various issues such as sustainable recreation. You all know this is a very, very popular area that everyone wants to come to when it comes to the United States. So with that, we have to get ourselves caught up in terms of what do we need to focus on, what are the impacts right now, and what are the community needs as well in this area. I did send a digital copy of a reader's guide. I can send that stuff to you again. I did bring one hard copy. This basically does explain the breakdown of how the forest plan is laid out. So you all remember what I want to check that out. You guys kind of a later time, but I did forward the electronic reader's guide when this plan came out, or the final plan came out on January 21st. So in that guide, it'll break it down, and it talks about yeah, I say if it's in your packet, that's great, awesome. So there is 4 unifying themes, and these are the 4 I want to highlight because this is from all the process, this is what came together to know that that's what's really important for us to do well in terms of what the needs need to be met for the plan over the next 20 years. One of those was connecting people to the land. So we really know how important people want to be part of connecting, either if it's recreationally or if it's in their community backdrop of, how they connect to it in those ways. So basically, we're looking at things such as sustainable recreation, trail network construction, where economic development and tourism comes into play. Those are all things of how folks are connected to the land and to the forest. The second theme is around sustaining healthy ecosystems. The Forest Service is a multi-use mission. So yes, we do active management, active land management. So we're looking at making sure we have sustaining healthy ecosystems as well as wildlife populations. In order to do that, yes, we do have to timber harvest. That's the difference between the Park Service and the Forest Service. We're active land managers. National Park is not. They do not do timber harvesting and are not looking at the same ways that we are managing the land. For instance, around having young forest, open forest, old growth, all the different wildlife species out there rely on a variety of forests, not just one type of forest. So we have to actually make sure we're looking at that as we're managing the land. So that's just an example, but also prescribed fire. We need to have looking at fuel loads and reduction, as well as making sure we have fire adapted species out there on the landscape, which helps prevent having catastrophe. We don't look like the West when it comes to wildfires in the East, but we can have wildfires here. As you all know, North Carolina in 2016 would have been over in Hot Springs, would have been a close one, the Silvermar fire. So that is something that is part of the top part of our mission. A fourth area was providing clean and abundant water. So yes, priority watersheds, we look at that because part of our active land management, as well as our mission, is to make sure the water y'all drink when it comes off of the forest, that your watersheds are part of those top priorities of your drinking water. So that's all part of that, of the plan as well. And the fourth one is partnering with others. There's definitely no way that we could possibly do all the things that we do with our mission currently without the amount of partners we have, from local community partners to regional partners and national partners, and particularly county, working with the counties as well as the state agencies. So that's definitely one of our big pillars of our fourth part of our plan. So those are the top 4. The other 2 things you need to know about the plan is it's broken up into 12 geographical areas. So remember, this is Manahila and the Pisgah National Forest. And so that's a total of 5 different ranger districts, but the 3 in the Pisgah Ranger District are the Appalachian, the Grandfather, and the Pisgah. Up in Mitchell County, you guys, your geographical area, you've fallen into the Bald Mountains geographical area. And so basically, those 4 themes you have, each geographical area has something outlined under each geographical area related to those 4 themes. And it's basically to help promote working across boundaries. On the map that's in one of the packets, you'll see that the Bald Mountains includes Avery, Mitchell, and Madison. And you all have one common theme is the Appalachian Trail does go through those units, as well as Haywood County is part of that geographical area. So if you're going to look at the plan, you're looking at the Bald Mountains area, and that's where Mitchell County falls in. The other second key piece, when you look at the forest plan, we have looked at putting objectives, because once this is signed, we're supposed to implement what we say we're going to implement in the plan. So we'll have a tier 1 objective. And the tier 1 objectives are saying, what can we do based on what the agency has in terms of funds and people capacity? And that's what we're committing to. Tier 2 is because we have a lot of partners that want us to do more. We can't do more if we don't have help capacity or funding wise. So the tier 2 is the objectives that we agree to, as long as we're able to have more partners that help fulfill that, which we do have a great number of those, but all across the board. But that's how we can continue to meet some of those other objectives folks really want us to do, is making sure that collaboration is in there. So for example, if we're gonna have an objective around fire adapted eco zones and hazardous fuel reduction, we can prescribe fire. We're saying we can do 20,000 acres of prescribed burning in a year. But if we're tier 2 and we have partners and funding and all is in place, it's possible for us to do 45,000 prescribed burn acres in a year. So that's how we've broken it down in terms of tier 1 and tier 2. So moving forward, I know one area that I was going to spotlight for y'all is, and I do have that map. I think it should be in your packets. If you don't have it, I do have a map of specifically the Mitchell County map that zeroes in on the forest plan. If you don't have that, let me know, but I do have those copies. So nothing really has changed per se in the world of Mitchell County from our other plan, in terms of, yes, we still have the Appalachian Trail, National Scenic Trail Corridor that we managed for. We haven't really changed much of how we were managing that from the old plan to the new plan that we're hoping to implement. And that's quite a bit of your corridor in Mitchell County. The Nolechucky River had been recommended or found suitable as being eligible for wild and scenic back in the 90s, and that just rolled over again into this new plan. So we've not proposed any new any wilderness recommendations or any new segments of river in Mitchell County. Those 2 special areas and the Appalachian Trail, they've resumed the same. Of course, Roan Mountain, again, that's another one of your high ecological areas in Mitchell County. And that again is a highlighted area that has some specific objectives. For instance, one I think we have to do within, it's either 3 or 5 years, is looking at the high recreation use and designating some of the dispersed campsite areas so that we can help with the impacts to the ecological sensitive species there. So that's one of the larger items is Roan, that's within your Mitchell County area.
Does the plan speak to how they're gonna, I guess, minimize those impacts from that high recreational use?
Yep. So there is a section, well, that's another part outside the forest plan, but in terms of sustainable trails, we do have an area, because that's usually where our high impacts are, is because people want to come and either see a beach or they're coming to hike the trails, right? So we do have an area that has objectives lined out specifically around sustainable trail systems. And for instance, it's again would be a collaborative process. So we're committed that within every 5 to 7 years, we're doing trail planning with existing trails strategy that we already have in place, but working with the counties, or I know I've had different outfitters or guides or other folks ask us a variety of things. Beach trails, and that is doable in this plan. We haven't said no to adding trails, but we have to do it in a collaborative way, and also figure out if they're going to be partnering to help us maintain the new demand of these system trails.
And generally, correct me if I'm wrong, what you guys do is you just move the trail so that the part that was impacted has time to recover.
Potentially, so you would evaluate if you needed to reroute a trail because it's impacting an area, we'd have to analyze, if it makes sense to reroute it to another place because either the slope has issues and the grade is too much when whoever originally lined out the trail, you could consider rerouting it. But then we have to see if you're rerouting it, like up at Rome, for instance, there's lots of different, ecologically sensitive species that we'd have to figure out how would we reroute that whole system. But I am gonna get to Roan and the visitor use issues after the forest plan. So
Sorry.
no worries, no sorry. So the plan is it's more of a broad sense and it allows, for instance, me, the land manager for the Appalachian District to be more interactive and try to get to more of those detailed items in a collaborative planning sessions once the plan is signed. And I know we have vested people interested. I've been working, with the chamber talking, and obviously that your guys' outdoor rec economy strategy plan you guys passed a couple months ago. And so, yeah, interacting with Mitchell County on all that, we have that going and moving around for sure. And that's on our top list, high priority area. Across my district, Rowan is one of those top high areas, sort of like Knox Patch is over on the Madison County side of the world that has similar issues. But top thing is supporting the Western North Carolina communities. So definitely we're looking at the economics. That's that tourism piece because yes, we want economics. You guys want tourism. We want you guys to have tourism. And we also just want sustainable areas that people still want to live in. The locals don't want things degraded either because they live here. So you got to figure out how do you get that balance? How do you still get the economics coming in, but how do you still sustain the reason people are coming here for natural resources? And so that's definitely one of my top interests. This plan recognizes that collaborative rec planning that needs to happen and the local government coordination. So typically in different counties, I'll either work with the Chamber of Commerce or the Economic Development Association or various partners that are tied in with your local organization here. So in the end, basically that's the gist of your changes when it comes to the plan. Any questions? And then I was going to go over some awesome news of a lot of money that's coming in from the Great American Outdoor Act that's going to come to Mitchell County.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Is there any plan to clear access roads to the Unaka, towards like the NOLA checking? And the reason I'm asking is because the fire departments have had some trouble accessing patients or, like in that area.
So is it an existing road or you're asking for a new road?
I'm assuming that like whenever they have to go in and save people, that are really grown up.
Like the raptors,
Yeah.
they were having issues getting to them.
Yep, so part of that is depending on what type of the road it is. So we have different classes of road, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5. And that drives the maintenance level of what that maintenance is for that road. So I'm pretty sure I'm probably familiar with what you're talking about in terms of some of that search and rescue, because I've heard from one of your local community members before related to that. So we don't have like an abundance amount of money. I would say you guys probably are not, you might be in the same boat when it comes to road maintenance, but I do not have any current money. We did talk about putting that in for Great American Outdoor Act, because that's around deferred maintenance, and that can go to roads and can go to developed rec areas and other things. And I can't remember where we landed on it, because there's other folks from like the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, their volunteers and partners, just like search and rescue, have asked us the same questions to try to get access up to those areas. So we're looking for collaborative solutions. We have one person that comes in and does the mowing across our national forest. That's our employee, and he lives in the Nanny Hill and the Pisgah. So hitting every single road doesn't usually happen every year. That's why you get growing up of all the, especially those routes that you're talking about. I'm pretty sure that's the class 1 or class 2. Not necessarily used regularly for vehicular traffic.
Is there somewhere online I can go and see the road classifications?
Yep, I can just
Or
make
you-
a note and send you I can send some information to Lloyd related to that. Let me write that note down. All right, so out of force, any force plan questions? Otherwise, I'm going to tell you some good updates. Yes, great, thanks. Force plan is good update, but it's planning. It's more fun when it's talking about implementation of things. That's good. Any questions that y'all have or comments? You can definitely, if you're looking into any more stuff, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can help find something if you're searching for something to plan. It is 2,000 pages. So if you're wondering about something and you'd like to find it, I can help you do that. So, and yeah, Lloyd, he definitely has my contact information. All right, so I'm going to move out of there and go into, so we talked a little bit about the COVID-19 or the impacts for recreation. So yes, COVID-19 has increased greatly visitation in this area. We have lots of folks that are coming here. They already were coming before, and now the numbers are even higher. So in particular up at Roan Mountain in the Carver's Gap area, I know that there is a variety of partners. They do have the Roan Stewardship Committee that has a lot of different organizations that are part of that committee that look at the ecological parts of the Roan Mountain that are unique. But we also have partners that are interested in looking at this visitor use management committee, which meaning you're forming a committee to look at specific things around visitor use management, outline what's the current conditions and what are our desired conditions ecologically as well as visitor experiences. And there's a whole framework around it that was created by Forest Service, Park Service, Bureau of Land Management, a variety of agencies. So it's an interagency framework. We are doing that at Max Patch currently, and there has been success at Max Patch in terms of the local community members that live there are very happy and satisfied to actually see the old Max Patch back. And they actually are going and hiking there. And so it does take a lot of effort and work, but you do guys have the Tennessee Eastman Hiking and Canoe Club, and they work on that section of the ET, and they're highly committed to wanting to have something figuring out to have a better experience for folks there, as well as some of the safety concerns on the road. That's usually one of my highlighted ones, safety concerns of the road. That's a state road, but the parking, people park in the middle of the roads, and it's not a fun place to go on the weekend if you're a local person. So just look for avoiding that. But that was one of my updates. But up for Great American Outdoor Act funding, that's all around deferred maintenance. We only can put something in and ask for funds and hopefully get selected if it's already something built. It can't be something new that we're building or creating. It has to be something that we're backlogged on in money. The Forest Service received 15% of that. Those dollars, that went into effect where we could start requesting in 2021. Park Service gets the largest amount of that funding, like 80% or more. Thankfully, the Forest Service and partners that can lobby to make sure the Forest Service got some of that money too, because we have lots of deferred maintenance as well. So in 2022, we were successful at getting $1.9 million that's going to go to Roan Mountain and Carver's Gap. Put in a proposal and it competed at a national level. They either are going to give it you'll have some funds that comes from our regional office. If you think it'll compete well nationally, it did, and the Washington office selected it for those funds. So right now we're in the design phase this year, and after the design phase, we'll be implementing. And so there's a laundry list of things that's going to be going in there. The biggest thing is up at Roan Mountain is the water distribution system, and well, it's super complicated because it's a high elevation and obviously the temperatures and how it freezes in the winter. Anyway, that's our biggest thing we're working on now. That whole system that feeds the flush toilets and the drinking water, that system and well will be getting replaced. Improve all drainage structures and transportation trail systems up there. Resurface and pave 1 mile of Roan Mountain Road. New pavement, curving, fencing, and parking areas, resealing and repainting the parking lot, more parking spaces up by the rhododendron garden and our overflow parking lot will be paved. We have huge areas that aren't paved in those lots. Working on the interp center up there and signage, and working on the observation decks over at the rhododendron gardens as well as the Roan High Bluff area. rehabilitating our picnic sites there, installing new amenities, improving access for accessibility for the garden loop of the upper room for the rhododendrons. And then we're also working down at Carver's Stack at the trailhead and replacing the toilet down there with a double vault toilet and working on repaving that area and replacing the Carver's Gap destination sign that's at the top. But the one area that's over on the concerning area is a little parking lot that's a road that goes off the side, and it was like about this much of a drop. If you guys hadn't been there recently, I did put, they gave us a little bit of funds that we could just decide where we wanted to go in 2021. So I put 10K into getting that whole area so that you could actually drive on and off and not, pickup trucks couldn't even get up over the curb. I have videos of it. So that part has gotten improved, and the plan is to try to get that paved as well. And then we are working with the North Carolina Department of Transportation with a federal land access program proposal we put in, or we may be able to use some of the Great American Outdoor Act funds to get that little section of the parking lot paved. So that's wonderful news. So you've already gotten some money that has been implemented, and you're about to get a lot more up in that area implemented and restoring that. It's y'all's jewel. I know the Rhododendron Festival, that's a huge part of history here. And
So the plan y'all were selected, plan was approved, so that money is coming.
yep, the design is already going to be spent this year. So the design work's being done this year, and then the implementation of it will be the next year. So the majority of all of them, it's a done deal. We're already in the midst of doing design right now. Yep.
So the Forest Service is over all of that area. Is there any work with the Park Service? I know up on top,
Nope. The one side is Cherokee National Forest, and then the North Carolina side is the Sitka National Forest, and then you have that Mitchell State Park that's just down on the Tennessee side down below. But a lot of folks seem to end up staying overnight and coming up from that side. But that's all Forest Service, except for the Appalachian Trail, which goes through it. We're the land managers because it's Forest Service, but the Park Service does have an entity of the trail. I mean, they're the overall arching federal agency that manages it, but it's really Forest Service property. So it goes back to the Forest Service regardless. That could be the complete thing. But yeah, other than that, we have some awesome stuff. The Pisgah Restoration Initiative, that's a collaborative landscape restoration program that we got selected for the next 10 years. And that encompasses all 3 districts of the Pisgah National Forest. And that's tons and tons of money that comes in for implementation toward reducing wildfire risk and wildland-urban interface, restoring fire-adapted forests and rare native ecosystems, protecting ecosystems and non-native plants, and then providing clean water abundance. Basically really focused on the wildfire risk and then getting fire-adapted forest. So that's another great collaboration with supposed to be a ton of partners, which we already have a lot on board because the same program was happening on the grandfather district, but now it's all 3 districts of the entire Pisgah National Forest. So you'll probably hear more updates as those things come in. And the infrastructure bill, we haven't gotten final numbers, but we're hearing that we'll have increased budgets. But of course, with increased budget, we have increased things that we were to produce around fire and forestry for sure. Last thing, and I'll let you go because I know you already had a long day, and I really do appreciate your time, is the National Forest of North Carolina has been selected this coming year to provide the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree. And if you don't know this, it was also selected in 1998. It came off top of Rome in 1998, one of the first. So it's likely it could come from Mitchell County. I don't have an answer on that. There's actually a Christmas tree architect that comes from Washington office and looks at all the trees we have provided across North Carolina, and they will select the best one that they think will be that will be stunning when it goes up to the Capitol office. It's an entire, giant to-do thing. It's taking over a complete year for us to structure all of it, because you have whistle stops that go through all the communities all the way up to the Capitol. We'll be asking for over 15,000 ornaments from community members and organizations. Y'all could look at putting in a Mitchell County ornament that's specific to Mitchell County. You guys could do all kinds of different outreach if you have the desire of the Chamber of Commerce would want to get interactive with those. But stay tuned. We just were able to announce it the other day. and that tradition's been in place since 1970. Most of the time, it's from the west. The last tree just came from California over 80 feet. It's very rare that it comes from the East Coast. So this is a super privilege, and our theme is mountains to seas, because the National Park of North Carolina go from the coast all the way to the mountains. So it should be pretty spectacular. So stay tuned. It's usually in July or August that the tree selection occurs. And I can't remember his name right now. Usually he's the person that comes up for the pageants.
Bob Hensley.
Yeah. So he remembers the last time the Capitol Christmas tree came to this area. He does. So thank you again for your time. Again, if you have questions, let me know. I'll track down the different classifications for you, Harley, and I have your card, so I'll note that. But if you guys have any other questions about the plan, please don't hesitate to reach out, or if you have community members that have questions, they can directly reach out to me as well.
Thank you, Jim, for your update tonight. Appreciate you coming over and giving it to us.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you gave me the time, because there's a lot going on, and I know y'all have precious time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Uh, Yes, is there any, I don't think we have any public comments tonight. I didn't have anything, so let's take a 5-minute bio break, and we'll resume back at 8:30. Zoom operations here. Item number 11, Mr. Mavis partially for our budget amendment number 3.
This earlier, they did bring me a budget amendment, so that's all that's on it is DSS. And the majority of it is truly additional LEAP money that they got for this year. It's the biggest majority of this. It's like $121,000. Plus they got the water LEAP program, which is another 27,000 and some change. Everything else is pretty much, and they got special links money of 17,500. Most of this is state money that's come in or assistance that's come in, and just a little bit of moving around in a couple other areas, but most of it is additional funds. It is an additional $139,548, which will bring our total budget up to $21,844,473, and this is strictly DSS.
I have a motion, we approve the amendment.
So moved.
Second? All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries.
I'm up for the second one, the next one. Board approval to open bank account. Is that next
Sure.
on your agenda?
Yes,
Yes.
so,
I
so,
will handle that one real quick and we'll get out of your way. We got a direct grant, a SCIF SCARF grant from the state of North Carolina to build our new law enforcement center of $5 million. The requirements on this money are that we open a separate bank account for this money, keep it in a separate fund, and we have to account for it separately. All the interest that this account earns has to go for the project as well. We can't use that interest for anything but the project. I did go ahead and get this account open today because I need it on our books and on my system. So when the money hits my general fund, I will immediately transfer it over to this account. So this account has been opened with UCB. I just need you guys to approve me opening this account for the purpose of housing the $5 million in which we're going to build the law enforcement center. And they are sending this money up front. So I had to get this ready because they're hoping to get this done by the end of the month. We are right now in the process of waiting for our contract to come. We've done everything, Lloyd and I have done everything we need to do with the state to get this money. We're waiting on them now. They will send us a contract, which once you execute it, they're telling us we'll have our money within 10 days. And they're shooting for by the end of the month.
that's
So
great.
I wanted to be ready for that. So I just need you guys to approve that we have opened another bank account with
Can I-
United Community
So
Bank.
move.
Second. All in favor, vote by the usual sign. That's great. Thanks, Mavis. Item number C, we will have to skip over tonight. Blair got sick unexpectedly, so we will be marking off discussing the resumption of tax foreclosures. We'll move that to our second meeting of the month. Next item on the list is county manager, Mr. Lloyd High, sale of the county real estate from tax foreclosures.
Back in 1959, we sold a worn-out house and an acre of land that's built on the side of the mountain up on the side of the bank up in Beaver Creek. And the county, it brought $5,089, which the county bid in because that's the amount of money we had in the state of tax. Since then, we've owned it, had no offers on it. Did have one person go look at it, took some pictures. But anyway, we did, guy walked in the office about 10 days ago on 26th. Had an offer to buy that piece of real estate for $6,868. Explained to him that we could not accept it until we could accept it, we had to advertise for a higher bid. And he left a deposit of $686.80, which we have not cash because the board hadn't accepted. If you do, we will. But it's parcel real estate. It's got a 20,000. Yeah, that's my thing. 'Cause we've had it since 2015, I've never had an offer,
Since 2050.
since 2015. 2015, sold tax foreclosure. And it brought $5,089. No bidders on it. And the county bought it in. I just go by, you get nothing out of the tax foreclosure sale. I would recommend that we accept the offer and then we do have to advertise. It's required to accept a bid and then advertise for a higher bid.
What's the property? Is that in our packet?
It's parcel
49.
089155452223. I'll go in and get you some inferior pictures if you
I
want to
got
see
some
it.
pictures here I can pass down to you.
Yeah, I'd
if
like to see
you
them.
need to.
You need to take a
Look at
backhoe
it.
first of all. That's not that much pictures you need to see.
Oh,
Apparently it's, according to what Lloyd said, it's basically right off.
Well, I continue this building inspector.
All right.
Because it's wet. There's still 3 or 4 feet deep all over it. And it's been there at least.
Does it join this other man's land or something?
No, I don't know. He lives on Spruce Street, I think. He made, the land had the house off of it. About a half. It's very steep road. Turn off Beaver Creek Road, we'll go see it. First driveway on the left, you'll have to make about an 80-degree turn. They take 4-wheel drive. You get up. Your buddy went and looked at it, and he's one that makes pictures. What was his name? Thought one of the properties. Gordon Baker.
Oh, did
He went and looked at this. He said, no, thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the offer that was presented.
We advertise it until they want to pay their.
Second.
All in favor of vote by using sign? Next item is conflict of interest policy.
That's something we have to get signed for for the $5 million grant. And if we get any other grants, it just says board of directors, blanket form sent us from the state budget for everybody to sign, and it just says that you won't be involved in any of the work that's going on. Family will receive any benefits from anything that comes through one of these grants. If your child becomes a low bidder, building sheriff's department, you'll have to fine. Or if your spouse becomes a low bidder, fine. And you can't, you could, it provides ways out if it's something that's not very important, as long as you disclose your conflict. And then you do not vote on it. rest of the board. A person that you would have a conflict. That's what it is, as long as you give full disclosure and then don't participate in the decision. But I don't think it's anything that's going to bother any of us. But it is something they have to have.
Steve, I think we need to go back up to Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry. Backing up there, I checked that one off by mistake. Written waiver of business transaction at special meetings.
That's, we're gonna have a lot of special meetings, in my opinion, this spring. We've these grants, ARPA money, we're going to be meeting quite often. And this just says in the event that a member can't be here, they can give a waiver. And it's, you know, we had a situation a week or so ago where we thought we might be able to get school superintendent in here at a special meeting that wound up finally canceled. And we couldn't really do the notice and put him on there because he didn't know. We'd had this waiver and everybody. There was one person absent and we couldn't do it. We didn't know, but this would simply say, if you're absent, and if all four members that are present, at least four others are present, and they wish to amend the agenda on a special, they can do it. You're consenting to them do it. But it has to be, you're absent and everybody else agrees, unanimously agrees to amend the agenda. You will not object to that, or you have waived your objection to that. You can withdraw this anytime you want to. So I don't want to do it anymore. I want nothing to transact unless I'm there. I just think it may help get through situations where we get in a special meeting and somebody says, well, we need to do this first. This first is not on the agenda. We can amend it, which we could not do because we had unanimous.
We need a motion to adopt the waiver.
Not really. I think just each one of you that have no objection to it would sign it. I've got some forms if you want to sign them, but we need to do something you do after me. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Take it further out. Save us some time.
Yep, thanks for pulling that together. We'll go to item G next, since we covered the conflict of interest policy. Item G is authority to declare a state of emergency.
That is just a technical cleanup on that. We have an ordinance that was passed in 1988, I believe it was, that actually authorized statute, they passed that one under, has been repealed. And it allowed board or the chairman or any person that the board might designate to declare a state of emergency. Well, the statute is very clear right now. It has to be the board or the chairman. It can't be anybody else. So this just, I'm not repealing the other ordinance because it still has some language in it we could use. But just to say that, to clarify that so nobody will make the mistake again. Only the board or the chairman declare a state of emergency. You can't designate anybody else, Mr. Chairman.
So it has to be the full board,
Or the chairman.
majority.
Or-
If the chairman's out of town, you have to have a majority of the
You
board.
have to have a majority of the board members.
Okay.
Chairman's not present, you certainly would. Now, you can do it on an emergency meeting, I think probably a telephone. As long as you get three people on the telephone talking about it. Unless you kind of declaration. But if three are going to have to do it, if chairman is not here. Technically, the one we declared a week or 10 days ago is not a valid declaration. because the statute that authorized that. 66A 19.22 now says chairman.
Thank
So
you for
when,
that.
so when Harley signed it, it actually wasn't a legit declaration. So in this case, Lloyd, in that case, there was no monies that would have, so it was not a, okay.
Steve was out of town.
So, just for clarification, we could have an emergency meeting via telephone. Who would sign that declaration?
The
then?
board, whoever, any board member has you would have a resolution, you'd have an ordinance passed by the board, that probably all three members can sign it later.
That, I guess you'd have to, in this case, Harley actually met with the county attorney to physically sign it. In a case like that.
And the ordinance we had, that appeared to be perfectly legal. But the statute that was done on, what, 166A dash 19.22 says that a state of emergency may be declared by the governing body of the municipality or county if either of them finds that an emergency exists. Authority to declare a state of emergency under this section may also be delegated by ordinance to the mayor of the municipality or to the chair of the board of commissioners of the county. And that's what we're doing, we're delegating authority to the chair.
When you answer your question about the emergency meeting, basically, we would have to phone the board, get the agreement, and we would.
You'd have to get some kind of telephone conference, not an emergency meeting.
So does this require action?
Yeah,
Because it
no,
says
but
the
this-
board may,
We wouldn't have to meet you as the chair.
well, you have to adopt this ordinance that says the chair can do it.
It's not part of this meeting, though, right?
Right now.
Yeah.
All right, now, can I get a motion that,
I move that we
So moved.
appoint Chairman Pittman to authorize him to sign emergency declaration.
I think we got a second there. Everybody in agreement, vote by usual sign. Motion carried. Item number H is the approval of the Fraser Fir seedling grant.
I'll show you about this. This just came in actually on Friday, and this is a grant that Steve Kinley is getting through the Cooperative Extension Program. No county dollars from Mitchell County. This is a grant for a little over $7,000. And her scope of work in here, and this is coming from Farmland Preservation Division from the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Sciences. But what she's doing with this money is making some repairs to an existing greenhouse. And she's going to do some Fraser fir seeding and training to help people in the area that would like to get into this type of program to grow Fraser firs. And again, her match on this is just for staff time to do this grant. And again, you just need to approve, and Steve will need to sign the contracts and the documents to allow her to accept this grant.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, vote by usual sign. Motion carried. Item I, new storage building, room view daycare.
I think that's Jake.
What the hell? I'm the only one that's not got the updated agenda. Is that me?
You've got the right one, Steve.
You're on the right track. We changed all this stuff.
Thank you. I'm like, man, I'm ready to come straight from this, so I appreciate that. Right. I is the heartbeat resolution.
No, item number I is the new storage building.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Guys, I've
No,
got the
I've got the-
updated version
I
here.
got heartbeat
That's-
resolution on mine.
I do too. Y'all don't have the updated
You don't
version.
have the 17, this one right here is the one we redid this morning because it had to have things added to it, and had to have things left off. And item I is the new storage building for the daycare.
Then y'all
Jay
gave me the
is-
wrong resolution or the wrong agenda.
Me too.
J is Mitchell Yancey Joint Economic Project. K is Health Department Page Plan. L is discussion on the new school, and M is the heart.
Respectfully, it's not, sir. Not on this one.
And you throw that one away.
Okay.
This is the one that, this is the update.
This is not the updated version. It's, who said that?
I got, we're going with number I, being the new storage building is the Roan View
I don't know who
Daycare.
wrote that, but
I'm
I
not
didn't
sure
know
who's
what
talking
they
about the.
We need to submit this video to the NCACC
What
because
not
it
to
will
do?
win an award.
Okay, a couple months ago, and I don't remember when, but a couple months ago, y'all asked Robin Willis to get quotes on a storage building for the daycare. She went out and got 2 or 3 quotes here. And we had this on last month's agenda that got canceled, but she has chosen, or the one that she would like is the one under the cottage sheds, 10 by 12, and I think that's $3,610 from Appalachian Sheds and More. And you can't read this after it got copied, but they'll deliver, they do setup, all that. 40-year warranty on the roof, 25-year warranty on the floors,
I have a motion that we purchase the new storage building.
So moved.
I'm confused, before we do that, I'm confused on the price. What's the grand total?
13610 turnkey job,
Right.
3610?
Brandon from
For the 10 by
Appalachian.
12.
The one from Pine View is
I don't have-
463225.
So same size building?
Yes.
She liked the style of the cottage because of the roof and just the appearance of it to look, up there at that facility. She thought that, instead of the barn looking one, she preferred the cottage looking one.
Appalachian is located in Mitchell County, so you're spending Mitchell County tax dollars within Mitchell County. Pine View is located in Dale County. They're $1,017 more for the same building. And you had a waiting time on delivery. So
I think I got a motion. Vern, who are you motioning to buy it from?
Appalachian.
Buy it from Appalachian. I have a second.
if there's no further discussion, I'll second. The discussion, I'll wait for second.
Well, and just for clarification, we will own that building. That's our building.
That is
Yes,
correct.
that's correct.
I got a second. Moves, all in favor, vote by usual sign.
And Mr. Chairman, before we move on concerning the same thing, we'll have 2 buildings up there that will need to be moved. One's a plastic storage shed, the other one's a wooden shed, should be hard to move, and behind those we have a small 5-inch, 6-inch locust that in my opinion needs to be taken down before the new building is delivered. After we give Ms. Willis the approval to purchase this, maintenance, get those other 2 buildings out of there in that tree cut. So we can get delivery times.
Calling them up.
Thank you, Lord. That's good. Okay, somebody tell me where we're at on this list.
We're on J.
We're on heartbeat
That
resolution.
was I.
Mitchell.
We are.
Well,
Mitchell
we're
Yates.
skipping the heartbeat resolution.
No, it's
We're
down
not
here on the
skipping
bottom of
it.
this.
Down
We're gonna
It's on-
follow Steve's.
I'm gonna
We
follow what
a
I got
bunch
on
of
mine.
people out there waiting on this.
Yeah.
Okay, my agenda's no good.
Yeah, we're rolling with mine in here. So J is the Mitchell Yancey Joint Economic Project. I think Lloyd and Jamie is gonna speak to that, so.
But we
It's gonna
had,
be-
Well, we deleted
I thought
M
we
as well.
deleted that.
we deleted M because it was M on this list off because we were gonna talk about that situation in
This session.
Yes.
We still are.
Yes, so we're not gonna address these guys right now with that.
We're not addressing.
Still wait just a minute, we need to go into closed session to declare it, if you can't do it
We can't do that.
We
Closed
can't do
session.
that yet.
in the closed session, so y'all, everybody,
Well, you can stay in here if you want to. and
Yeah.
listen to the
Listen to us argue about the agenda.
We're gonna address the other situation in both sessions. Instead of open.
So the next item we got on here on my agenda is the item K.
no, we're making the answer.
I thought we were going to close session.
We-
Okay.
we
we're
are.
going- okay.
Yeah, but we tabled that.
We're not
We
going into
moved
closed
it,
session.
we took that one off. No, we took the Mitchell County Yancey Joint Economic off of the agenda.
Well, why did we invite these people over? We're gonna talk about.
We're going in closed
That's
session with
for
the
closed session.
Okay, well, we still need to leave it on the agenda to declare closed session.
Okay. But
Or
we can't
send
do,
them back. Did we finish the other business?
No, I mean, they can stay in
You're
here.
welcome to stay.
You don't have to.
Y'all don't have to go home, but we're gonna wait and delay it a while.
where we at next?
Okay,
So
let's
ne-
just pick a topic.
Next,
No.
next item on here.
Somebody
is
draw a
the-
card.
Is K, new health department pay scale. Mr.
Okay,
Jim.
sounds good.
Okay, we have Miss Diane Creek here. Every one of you have information regarding Mitchell County, Yancey County, and Avery County on an updated pay scale. That pay scale was done by the MAPS group that went in and studied everything. If you look at current salary compared to what the MAPS group asked for the new salary, I think for the most part, you guys will see that our people are underpaid. Mitchell County, that's labeled Mitchell, if you look from number 1 to number 13 on that piece of paper, that will be our cost. We will absorb all that cost, which is $82,055. If you go on down below that, where it says admit current classification, if you go from line item 18 to line item 25, that amount, $19,613, is a portion, our portion. That total amount was divided by 3 counties because from 18 to 25 is shared between all 3 counties. If you flip your page over, you'll see a budget neutral staff. That means we don't pay any of that cost. And if you need to know more about that, Ms. Diane will be happy to answer that. I don't have the answers for you on that. So the total amount without fringes and benefits for us to bring our people at the health department up to speed, and as your representative on the Toe River Health District, I would highly recommend giving these folks a pay increase. It will cost us $102,168 less fringes and benefits. Now that, I talked to Mavis, I've talked to Diane, that could be anywhere from 22% to 30%, depending on how the health department got it set up. So we, you could go from $127,000 at about 22% up to about $150,000 if their fringes and benefit package comes out. So my recommendation would be to accept and pass this pay scale. The pay scale would go back to January 1 of 2022. Be my recommendation. Third recommendation is the money comes out of Pruitt Health. to be paid for, and in saying that, that's no county dollars. So, y'all have any questions?
I think personally, I'd like to table this. I just received these, I think. Today, yeah, so I've spent 2 months talking about rehiring a social worker's position that's in the budget. So I'd like to spend some time to kind of look over this
Okay.
and kind of process it personally.
And that, but that's-
Commissioner Hardin, I appreciate your recommendation on where the money should come from. I would like to hear from Ms. Creek, since she is the director of the district and is probably very concerned about the Pruitt stash of money. Could you speak to how you feel about that recommendation?
I think that's how the other counties are gonna do it as well. I spoke to Avery County earlier this afternoon, and they passed this salary study, and they're gonna take it out of their reserves. So, I mean, I think, especially for this time, from January until July 1st, you won't have to do a budget amendment that way. You can just take it out of the reserve money. And then, when we submit our budget, we'll submit our budget based on these salaries if you guys pass these.
So with that being said, if we are still talking about the Pruitt funds,
Yeah.
I think Mitchell probably has the least amount left in their Pruitt funds than the 3 counties.
You do, but they've grown because for the last 2 years, we've used COVID money for staff salaries because we were working COVID. And so we got a lot of COVID money, especially in 2022 or 2020. We got a lot of money from the state and we were all doing COVID work. And so what you guys gave us for our budget, for our request, it went into your reserves. So all 3 counties' reserves have grown. So you're not as bad off as you were before COVID. COVID really has been a blessing as far as the reserves have gone.
So continuing that line of thought, obviously, long-range thinking here. If we sustain this increase through the Pruitt fund and that fund being exacerbated by COVID funds, we're going to have to think about how we sustain this come budget time for the county every single year, and that will continually go up with inflation and everything else, the cost of living and so forth. So long-range thinking, where do we go, say, 5 years from now?
Long-range thinking, so we have positioned ourselves to be able to bill at the highest level that's possible with Medicaid transformation. So long-range thinking, if we can increase the number of Medicaid patients that we have, then our revenues increase. Because right now we're a tier 3 billing level, at which that's the highest you can be. So we increase our patient loads. We have been approved to hire an HR/my assistant/grant writer. So we use that person to write grants because there's money out there. But right now we don't have anybody that has time to write grants. I mean, I don't have time to write them, and I don't have anybody that I can delegate to. So I mean, I think we work as hard as we can and we become more accountable because with this money, this isn't just free money.
Right.
This money comes with the stipulation that we become more accountable. We increase our patient load. We start, holding our staff also accountable for the jobs they do. So, and right now they are not doing COVID work. They're working on building the clinics back. So, and COVID did do damage to our clinics. I mean, we lost patients, so we're working on building those back.
So I can't help but ask, because this is the elephant in the room, if you
Mhm.
will, from my point of view. which is Tennessee, my point of view.
Okay.
We're competing for Medicaid patients
Mhm.
because that's your primary payer source from your plans. So if we're competing for Medicaid patients and we have other organizations in our two-county area that's getting a lot of Medicaid patients as well because of federal funding, how do we compete for those patients as a health department? What draws people to health department versus the competitor?
Quality of care. I mean, the quality of care. If you compare the two, it's quality of care. So, and honestly, we take all insurance. So we don't take just Medicaid, we take all insurances. We signed up for all 5 Medicaid insurance companies, even though one is down in the kind of south central part of North Carolina. But the way I thought about it is that if those people come up here on vacation, or they come up here, to visit family, and somebody gets hurt, we can still see them, or somebody gets sick, we can still see them. We're in their network. So we signed up with all of those insurance companies. We've got a lot of private pay insurance companies. And I think, I know the comparison, but I think when you are a medically underserved county, which all 3 of our counties are medically underserved counties according to the federal government. So if you're a medically underserved county, and if you take one health agency away, no matter which one it is, whether it's a private one or whether it's an agency, like us or somebody else, then, you're forcing people to go someplace else. And they don't necessarily want to go someplace else. If you're going to your doctor and you really like your doctor, and the commissioners take your doctor away, then, I mean, that's not very good. I mean, people don't like that.
Well, the commissioners are not taking anyone's doctor away.
No, I know.
Just for
I
the
would hope
record.
not. I would hope not. I would hope not. But you get if you do away with the clinic, because that's kind of basically what you're talking. If you do away with.
Well,
the
I'm
clinic-
just asking from the budgetary standpoint of, you're gonna be requesting us to fund this.
Right.
So from our perspective, how do you continue to fight the challenge of having patients come to you,
Mhm.
which is the reason you want us to fund you?
Right.
We have to see the benefit of continuing to fund you because of your patient load. So
Right.
that's where I'm
Well,
going
and
with
we
that.
need to learn to promote ourselves better, because we are bad at that. We're bad at that. I mean, honestly, we don't have anybody on staff that is a media person. We don't have anybody who's any kind of advertising person. We just kind of do it ourselves. And I know other places have the luxury of having those kind of people. We don't. And so we have to deal with what we've got, basically, and the skills and the talents that we've got. And we do have some talented people in the district. I mean, we've got a front desk person over in Yancey County who's awesome at Facebook posts. She's great at them. And so we draw on her a lot because she's very, very creative. But we do, and we don't have an advertising budget. That's part of our problem too. But, we can also write grants for that, because honestly, we've got a grant right now that we're going to use for advertising. So it's an equity grant. So it'll be focused on equity, but still it will promote the health department. So, and, there's a difference between all 3 counties. Like Avery County, their commissioners are very, very behind their health department. And so, if you guys get behind the health department, you're funding us anyway. So if you get behind us and really promote us and help support us, then it helps us in the long run. It really does. It's from where I sit, where I see all 3 counties, that's the difference in Avery County that I see. is that.
I think for me, I'd like to see, what this $102,000 is with, RFICA and SSI.
Well, it'll be through them.
So,
That's what I was telling you earlier, I can tell you what air benefits look like, but I don't know what they offer. I don't know if she does life insurance, if it's a disability, I don't know what her insurance costs. So Diane's gonna be one that has what their benefit package is.
And yes, and what Betty has told me, it's between 22, at the high, it's 25%.
I'd like to see something, concrete, a line item. Personally, before I can make it.
Because the last time I talked to her, which was last week, it was 22, but I think sometimes it changes.
Diane, were you guys able to get like a lot of FEMA reimbursements through the health department?
None.
You weren't allowed to, were you allowed to like apply for them?
We could have applied if we would have qualified, but we just didn't have the qualifying expenses.
Oh.
Yeah. We got a lot of state money though, the last 2 years, and right now I pulled the clinic staff out of COVID work probably about 6 months ago. And so, and we hired, we've outsourced the testing. So that's done by a company that the state pays for, and we don't have to pay for any of that. And then the case investigation and the contact tracing, we've hired probably about 12 to 15 people to do that from home. So they work from home just doing that work. And then we do, at Mitchell, we still do vaccines, but the demand has dropped a lot.
Diane, do you know how much money's in our pool account currently? Ballpark.
Oh, and don't quote me, but the last I saw, and I would have to find out an exact amount for you, it was over 700,000.
So, just for clarification, did you say Avery approved this and Yancey did as well?
Yancey does it Monday. They vote on it Monday. But
But
Avery
Avery
did it
has.
tonight, yeah. Yeah. With the same conversation, actually, up in Avery.
I think you have motion, you have to have a motion to table.
Yeah, I'll move that unless there's further questions. I'd like the process. And like I said,
I think Mr. Pittman, the second meeting of the month, will give you enough time to process the information, if you have any questions.
I'd like to put it on, if we're gonna pay them retroactively. Next regularly scheduled meeting. It ain't like, if we approve it, they're still gonna get back paid, correct?
Yeah, and one thing, realize the number is gonna be cut in half, because we're only paying them for 6 months.
But this,
Does that make any sense?
it does, but then we'll be responsible. for
Then July
100%.
1st is when the new part will pick up.
I got a second.
Oh, and by no means do I, by tabling this, do I think your staff is not deserving of this pay increase. Like I said, it's just a principle.
I
for
know.
me.
I know, I'll tell them.
Motion to table.
It's not debatable, but
But you
debated it
did.
a long time.
Do I have a second?
No.
Second. All in favor, table, put in the same. Next item on the list. Thank you, Ms. Creek, appreciate it.
Which topic's next?
This is the school, I believe is our next topic. My notes here.
I think I gave everybody copies that I printed off from Chad. he couldn't be here tonight. Steve and I both met with Chad and, Kim Hodgkins, Thursday, so.
Yeah, we met with Chad just to get some preliminary information. We basically told the board here to put together some questions to ask the school superintendent. He and Kim Hodgson met with us on Thursday. And I'm just gonna read through this list of questions here, just so everybody's got the same knowledge. What's the timeline on the entire building project? It's 18 to 24 months, once they begin. The school board did vote in their meeting this past January to apply for the $40 million grant money. That application is due March the 15th. Hopefully to hear something back in April. I think it's gonna be a pretty quick turnaround. What does the layout look like? It's gonna be on, they're looking at the green property that the commissioners purchased a couple of years ago. It's gonna be a 2-story building. It's gonna have a 3 and 5. If you think about a set of wings, you basically, on one side, you've got grades 3 through 5. On the other side, you got grades 6 through 8 with a common office in the middle. You'll have 2 principals, one for the 3 through 5 wing, one through the 6 through 8 wing. It's got an office, gym, and lunch is all in the middle there. So the school board had to do some core drilling to get some soil samples to test the soil over there. And that they're supposed to get those results back this week.
We did 18 sites. 4 buildings, county.
Yep. Yep. Seems like it's about $4 or $5 grand.
Do they have those?
Everything turned out good except for water where everybody.
Yeah.
The other sides turned out.
Will there be money still for capital expenses? Sales tax money and lottery funds would be used for that. Is the school project a turnkey project? Yes, all below is included, security, furniture, electronics. I mentioned the decision to apply for the grant. We will review that. The board sees the grant application that has to be signed by the second meeting on the 22nd beforehand to review it. So they're going to get that over to our board for review prior to that. So
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the school board meets the 17th of February. And so they will have to approve it, and then it'll be brought to our meeting that Monday to approve.
We're gonna have an opportunity to look at that beforehand.
The application itself, or after the school board has filled it out. I would hope so.
yeah, our hope is that we get some time to review. So
Hopefully when our packets go out, we should
we
get it.
mentioned that to them as well. Another question here, will the architects be at the meeting on the 22nd to answer any questions? Superintendent will be available at the meeting to answer any questions. Architects will be available after, if we get the $40 million grant. The only thing we're asking for at this meeting is permission to apply for grant, updating the MOU and permission to use dirt from the school site land to fill at the football field for the turf project funded by the state. Also to renew the understanding of the land across from Googe that the school board and county purchased together with the site to dump excess dirt from the school site grant if it comes through and the school is approved. So that's this property right over here across from the county. It's in a floodplain to help bring that up.
Do we currently have an MOU? Or was it brought, and I don't know if this is before Brandon and I came on or after, I have no idea. Or if it was brought to the table and then it was voted on.
We're talking about on that piece of property across from us, or
No, the
ledger
one,
land.
the ledger property.
I don't think we ever signed one.
We
They
never
one
signed
up.
an
They
MOU.
approached us, we did not.
Because they wanted title to the land that we set up.
And then they changed, it was the,
Okay. That's why I don't remember.
the opinion that they needed it, the title land to get the money. After some research was done, I think by you, Lloyd, it was proven that they didn't need the title, and I think they realized that. But we never did sign it.
I just didn't know if that was something that had happened before, Ray and I were on the
No,
board.
it's not been done.
Next one, what the grades from each school, I think we said that 3 through 8, so, you know, there would be decisions to be made on, Deaton, Bowman, and Harris. The county would get the first option at those properties. What's the projected cost for the new school location? They don't, they're hoping to be able to give a closer estimate provided by 2/17, so I'm not gonna, you know, speculate on that until we get a firm cost. Has the DOT made verbal commitment to put in a new access road to the school? Yep, it is part of the project, and the cost as a line item. Does the new school have a gym and an auditorium? It's got a full-size gym with bleachers on each side, bigger than Bowman and Harris' gym. It's a stage-in gym, similar to East Yancey, no separate auditorium. I think the word Chad used was a
Gymatorium.
Yeah.
gymatorium.
Yeah, that's what he
Yeah.
used.
So you can close it down to make an auditorium type setting. Is the additional gym still on the table? They are looking at, because of so many school groups there into that school with having 3 through 8, they are looking at an auxiliary gym and athletic facility on the campus of Mitchell High School. So more to come there. No plans on Bowman. What's the plan for Bowman, Deaton, and Harris? That'll be determined by the commissioners and school board and the community. So we asked about the maintenance cost on Bowman for the past 5 years. That's $165,000 a year to keep Bowman in operation. Overhead cost. Will the state put a hold on the lottery money? If so, how many years? No lottery hold on future money with the $40 million grant. Mitchell County Schools should get the previous year's 5 hold returned since trading in the old grant. So that's the 15 million that we had originally applied for back in 2015. Budget to get an additional 300,000 this year, lottery, and 500,000 next year, and is budgeted to continue at 500,000 plus formula allotment per year thereafter. What's the timeline on breaking ground? They're looking as soon as possible, April, if it all comes together. So it's pretty exciting for Mitchell County. It's something the county's needed for a long time. So it's good to finally see some stuff, you know, coming to fruition there. Want to thank Senator Heiss and his work down in Raleigh. He's done a lot of good stuff for Mitchell County. So, you know, I don't take that lightly, and we really appreciate what him and Dudley's done to Mr. Green. We'll try. So next item on our list is the.
Don't look at me, we have the wrong ones.
So I struck out the heartbeat resolution, but I think the heartbeat resolution is actually what should be next.
Okay.
So let me. Find that in the packet here.
No, I don't have it.
Steve, I don't think that's in our packet.
Oh, it's not in our packet?
Yeah, I think I'd like to be the tabler tonight. I'd like to table that so I can actually see it.
Hey,
I want to see what
no
I'm voting
problem.
on.
No problem. I think
I make a motion, we table the heartbeat resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay. I want to see what I'm voting on.
Next item on the list is the Adult Protective Services additional position at DSS there.
Is there any discussion on that?
I guess the discussion is if we want to
Prove it or not.
approve or not approve.
I'll make a motion that we allow them to refill that number. CPS.
Go back and forth.
I'll
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Everybody vote the usual sign. Motion carries.
I think, Mr. Chairman, considering we've done this tonight, with all due respect to the county hiring freeze, I think maybe the county manager should update employees about the hiring freeze and the fact that this does not change that. That this was actually a position that was already budgeted, it was vacated, and we're just allowing them to refill that position. Because it's gonna, the appearance is gonna be that we've hired some, yeah.
Yes. But just for clarification, Trace, just over on the same page, this hiring freeze is for full-time employees across the board, right? Every
For all the county, that's correct.
anybody that vacates a full-time position has to have board approval.
But a hiring freeze, I mean, that's what people need to understand is exactly, that's a hiring freeze, but that means any position that needs to be filled would be brought to this board for a decision to be made if we want to move forward with allowing somebody to fill that position. It has to come through this board. It can't be made independently by the department. And that's what we've done tonight. We have made it to the bottom of this agenda. I was happy as.
Which agenda?
I was happy as anybody.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
since we have guests here to speak and we kept them an hour and a half, I would like to amend the order of the agenda. Item closed session up in front of the consent agenda. Move everything else down. So we can do our business, let these gentlemen go home. One's got at least an hour and a half drive. Here, and we thank them for coming. We don't want to keep them here all night. So I'd make that recommendation to this board. That we move line item 16 closed session up to in front of consent agenda.
I got a second.
Is that both police stations?
Yes, and both closed sessions be made at one time.
Yeah, we'll go into closed session. I'll read the reason we're going into closed session for both items, but we'll only do one closed session.
Mavis, did you have anything else to give on?
I agree with that. So maybe amend your change to the agenda to remove the finance officer's report from this
I'll
agenda.
add, no, line item 13 be removed. It's finance officers.
Were you finished? Okay.
No better the rest of us
Are
getting
you
out of
sure?
here, you sleeping up. Get a second on that,
So moved.
so we will vote by usual sign. So we will move the closed session to item number 12 as the consent agenda, changing the numeric order from there on down and taking off number 13 for the finance officer's report. So the county manager's report. Sounds good. Do I have a motion, we go into closed session?
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's right, thank you. Reason we're going into closed session tonight, so Mitchell County Board of Commissioners will enter into a closed session in reference to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Part A, Number 6, to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public office or individual public officer or employee, or to hear and investigate a complaint, charge, grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee, General personnel policy issues may not be considered in closed session. Public body may not consider the qualifications, competency, performance, character, fitness, appointment, or removal of a member of the public body or another body, and may not consider or fill a vacancy among its own membership except in an open meeting. Final action making an appointment or discharge or removal by a public body having final authority for the appointment or discharge or removal shall be taken in an open meeting. And then the second part of our closed session will be for General Statute 143-318, Part .11, item number 4, to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other business in the area served by the public body. Do I move we go into closed session? Second.
Second.
So who do you want in first?
I would ask in the first closed